Welcome to Mark's Moments Video Library. These videos are intended for the exclusive use of our agents here at Realty Executives Arizona Territory. The videos are designed to be a brief overview of frequently asked questions and topics from our agents. If you are in need of a more in-depth discussion on any of the topics in our video library, please call one of our members of our management team. The information on these videos is intended to be used as a guide, not a substitute for legal advice. Thank you. Hey folks, welcome back to Mark's Minutes. Hope you all are doing well. I'd like to talk about dual agency for a moment and times when you may not be a dual agent. If you are a principal in the transaction, you may not be a dual agent. If I own a home, I may not be a dual agent. I may not have a dual agency relationship with the buyer. That's what the courts call an unwaivable conflict of interest and would be viewed with judicial skepticism. I love that phrase. It just means another nice way of saying they don't allow it. But if I own a home, if I own a home and I'm a team leader, I can't even have a team member represent a buyer on a property that I own. Conversely, if I'm the buyer of a property, I cannot represent the seller in that transaction. I can't buy my own listing and have a listing and then be a buyer and as a dual agency. So any transaction where you would be a principal in a transaction, it would be an unwaivable conflict of interest for you to be a dual agent. So if you represent a seller, for example, or you are the seller and you have a buyer call you, you can have an unrepresented seller in the same way we have you can have an unrepresented buyer in the same way we have unrepresented sellers. So you could draft the contract and just ask the buyer what they want filled in at the different places in the contract. And on page 8, you would need to add number 1, buyer has been advised that you and Realty Executives Arizona Territory represent only the seller in this transaction. Number 2, the buyer has been advised to seek independent legal counsel. And under certain circumstances, number 3, the buyer is being credited $750 from seller to have an attorney review the contract on buyer's behalf, and that may not be waived. And you can't give the buyer a $750 credit in lieu of having an attorney review the contract. So in the cases where we have the attorney review a contract and you as the seller credit the buyer $750, again, that can't be waived. It can't be used for any other purpose other than having an attorney review them, and it must be used for that. So under certain circumstances, we have had that inserted into the contract. If I am a listing agent and I have a property listed, I can't buy that property. I would have to go through the process of unconditional release on the listing. I could then turn around and under certain circumstances be a buyer for the property, but then you'd have to add in on page 8 also that as a listing agent, you may have obtained information that you would not have otherwise gotten, and that you were disclosing that in page 8 of the contract. And so again, it's really important that you understand that you cannot be a dual agent in any transaction where you're a principal in, and neither can your team member. So if you have any questions on that, call me, call somebody in the leadership team, and we will be happy to answer any and all questions. Thank you.